All right, hello. Thank you everyone for joining us today for our Tiger Talk with First Gen. And so my name is Kayla Hubbard and I serve as the Senior Coordinator for Parent and Family Services. And we also have Heather Hampton with us. She serves as the coordinator. So if you've ever gotten any emails or marketing or anything that's really good, it's come from Heather from this office. And so we're excited that you are here and we're excited to let you know more about our first generation office on campus for scholars and all that they can offer your family. So without any further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and let Jackie and Nikki introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Jaclyn Rodriguez. I am the director of the Office of First Generation Student Success, which houses First Scholars and Opportunity Scholars.
Hi, I'm Nikki. I'm the program manager for First Scholars under the Office of First Generation Student Success.
Awesome. So thank y'all so much for being with us today. So we're going to start off with our first question of the day. So for Jackie, what is your favorite U of M tradition or maybe favorite U of M campus event?
I've been here a long time. I came in '99 as a first generation student, so I have a lot of favorites. I really love mud ball. That's volleyball and tug of war in 6 inches of mud, and it raises money for scholarships. And I've always enjoyed Parent and Family Weekend. You know, our office is heavily involved. We like to volunteer for those. We've done everything from Blue Lantern tours to, I think we did American Ninja Warrior for parents one year. So I love Parent and Family Weekend. It's a great time to get to meet everybody and just kind of bond as Tigers.
Awesome. And then for Nikki, I'm gonna throw a different one out there for you. What is your favorite Memphis restaurant?
Oh, there's so many, but if you're gonna stay close to campus, I would definitely say Lost V, because not only is it affordable, but it's amazing Mexican food.
Yes, I would agree with that. I get a taco and rice, and I feel like it's $5 every
Yeah.
time, and it's the best.
And it's just what, like a 2 to 5 minute drive from campus.
Yes. Perfect. Awesome. All right, so we'll get started with the real questions that we have for today. If you just tuned in, feel free to ask any questions. You can send us something in the chat. If you're watching this later on YouTube or on Facebook, feel free to comment. And so we'll put this online today at 5 o'clock on both of those platforms. So feel free to comment and we'll make sure to get back with you. So our first question, or I guess our second question, how do you define a first generation college student?
Well, a first generation student means that neither of your parents completed a 4-year college or university degree. Now, that's regardless of your other family members' level of education. So if you have siblings that have gone before you, you're still considered first generation. So this might actually answer your next question, I think. But if you have an associate's degree, if your parents do, we still consider those students first generation. Seminary school, I've had that one asked a couple of times. Also, if your parents receive their degree outside of the continental United States, you're still considered first generation here. So it's a complex definition, but you know that about covers it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
What type of challenges do first generation students face, and what type of challenges do their families face?
Nikki, you want to start that one? I'll follow up.
Sure. Some of the challenges I've noticed with my students is, of course, juggling finances. A lot of them are one of the main providers in their families, so they're having to work full time, go to school full time, and that doesn't also include the extracurriculars they'll do on campus with different organizations. So I find that that's a challenge they face. I think on the family side, the one I've seen is what my students tell me is their parents don't always understand and vice versa. So having to, work through understanding what college is, why I have to do this over this, or, I need a break from watching siblings so I can study for this big test tomorrow. I think that's some of the main challenges I see very regularly in talking to our students.
Yeah, I'll add on to that. I think one of the largest barriers that I see and that I've experienced myself is just, the confidence, the sense of belonging when you get here, realizing that there's more that you can do than you can't. I think the biggest barrier for a first generation family is not knowing the questions that you're not asking. You get here and you're kind of figuring out things as you go, and college is overwhelming. It's incredibly overwhelming. My first memory coming here, I watched my mom figure it all out with my sisters and myself, and I remember what that looked like. So for me, the goal of the Office of First Generation Student Success is to unpack and simplify the college experience to make sure that, that we're helping with that. And that's about it for me.
Awesome. And that kind of goes along with a question that a family member sent in. So this family member stated, my student tends to get frustrated and feels like I don't understand. I'm a trade school graduate and she thinks that these do not compare. I feel like I've explained the similarities and acknowledged the differences. My question is, how do you get a female student who lives at home with a single mother and does not drive to be excited and happy for the opportunity to learn, grow, and seize this opportunity for independence? It was her idea to take on college, which is why I support her. She's doing well. She made the dean list. I deal regularly with tears and wanting to drop out, so it's tough. So the question inside of that is, how do you get your student to be motivated? Maybe if, because the mother hasn't gone through these experiences, and so was in trade school, but didn't necessarily go to a university. So any advice on that?
For sure. You don't mind if I take that one, Nikki? No. So I have 2 teenagers, actually. I've got a 14-year-old girl and a 16-year-old boy. And I can tell you right now, the answer to that is, I'm sure every parent out there will agree with me. Your kids don't like to hear it from you. Sometimes they'll fight you on that a little bit. I think the best thing that you can do is to make sure that your student is aware of the resources on campus. Now, they're going to have to go and do it themselves. They're going to have to take advantage of those resources, but you need to make sure that they have access to them, that they know they're there. So for me, what I would do with this student is try to push them maybe towards like our peer mentor program. Students are much more likely to speak with somebody their own age who's gone through a lot of these same emotions. So we have a peer mentor program through the Office of First Gen Student Success. It's free. You can go to memphis.edu/firstgen, click one link. It'll say, match me with a peer mentor, and we'll do that same day. So your student can get in front of somebody else that has been through, being a first generation student, and they'll tell you firsthand that they've struggled at times, and the resources and the ways they came back from that. Having feelings of wanting to drop out, having these feelings of, tears, it's not something that's uncommon. I'm in my doctoral program. I think I have the same feelings every night, but, you really got to just find that support group that you identify with. And I mean, that's what, we really try to strive for in the Office of First Gen is, the one-on-ones with me and Nikki. A student can walk in anytime, or they can schedule it online. And of course the walk-ins in our lounges, which are where the peer mentors are. So they can always speak with somebody when they're having these feelings, and we will connect them as well to other resources if counseling is needed, or if we're looking at potentially like, a disability resource services, maybe we need to connect them to that. I've had a student in the past that was having severe headaches and, was not doing their homework. And, what it really boiled down to was this student didn't have access to eye care. So, we connected them with a resource to help them get eyeglasses here on campus. It's a range of things. And really it's situational. We talk one-on-one with the students for that holistic wellness piece to make sure they have what they need. And I really do think, as a mother, again, to answer the question, is sometimes they don't want to talk to us. And we just have to make sure that we put the resources in front of them and push them to talk to somebody that they will relate to. They'll come to you eventually. They always do. But yeah, I would recommend a peer mentor in that case.
So I love hearing about the peer mentoring piece because, like you said, I have a daughter too in college, and they love to hear from someone else and someone that maybe has been where they are, where they're going. Is good for them to kind of glean information and wisdom from. So, and then somebody maybe close to their age that they can relate to. You mentioned peer mentoring. You mentioned that you do referrals and one-on-ones. So could you just kind of tell the parents and families what other services you provide, and maybe even go into a little more detail about the one-on-ones, like how do they happen? How does the student get a one-on-one, or is it something that's automatic? So yeah, we want to hear about all the things that you do because they're so great.
And Nikki, I'm gonna have you start with First Scholars specifically.
Okay. Yeah, so incoming freshmen, well, I guess in their senior year of high school, they can apply for the First Scholarship, which again is housed under our office. And I oversee that program. And in that scholarship, they get to have one-on-one meetings each month with myself. They work with the peer mentors. They have their ACAD class, which is the essentially college one-on-one course in the fall with me as their professor as well. So there's a lot of individualized, like able to see each other one-on-one and in a group setting throughout their 4 years. And then we also get to do service projects together. We get to do workshops together. There's a lot of touch points with the students and making sure that they're supported, again, holistically. You know, it's not just in their academics. It's not just in the social side or the family side. Like, we're here to help them get through college and understand the variety of options they have for being successful on campus, and then post-graduation too.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, you know, to the Office of First Gen, you know, for the little bit broader outreach. So that's our scholarship. That's one of them. We have another one, the Opportunity Scholarship, which is specifically for DACA and temporary protected status students. We also bring international students in there with that as well. It's very similar to First Scholars. There's one-on-one, there's peer mentoring, there's networking opportunities, leadership development, all 4 years. So that's another scholarship that's separate, and those two are both housed under our office. And then, of course, the peer mentor program is open to everyone. So if you're not in First Scholars or Opportunity Scholars, you can still sign up for that online, memphis.edu/firstgen. And that's always available. We have 2 lounges across campus. One is 5th floor Wilder Tower, and the other one is in Mitchell Hall, which is where our office is. So we're on the 3rd floor of Mitchell Hall, and our lounge is on the 4th floor. So students can utilize those spaces anytime, and they can meet other first generation students. We do a lot of social events. We do special events. We have a First Gen Week. November 6th is when it kicks off this year, and it's all week. We have several different events going on. Like last year, to give you an example, we look for the gaps during that week of where our students might need a little extra support. We noticed that first gen students maybe were struggling with having business attire last year to go to career fairs, to go out there and apply for jobs. So we created the career closet, where we gave out suits, and I think we had over 300 ties, and we taught students how to tie a tie and gave them a tie. And then of course they could go into the closet and pick out an outfit to take to the next career fair. So those are the kinds of things that we try to do. I know Nikki's working really hard right now on life skills workshops. You know, they're learning how to plant a healthy garden. You know, we're talking about financial literacy. We're taking it even down. You know, we had a bunch of students that, you know, didn't know how to change a tire. So we're going to work with our physical plant services and teach them how to do some of these, you know, skills that everybody needs. But on top of that, of course, we're there for academic coaching. We're there for advising. You know, both of us are able to look at your schedules and help you out there and help you plan. And our mentors are also trained in that sense. We do phone-a-thons, where we will call every admitted first generation student to let them know about scholarship opportunities. And again, through the Office of First Gen, though we have First Scholars and Opportunity Scholars, we're also over several other small scholarships and grants that you can find on Tiger Scholarship Manager. So if you go into Tiger Scholarship Manager, just tell your student to search using the words First Gen or First Generation. You'll see some more pop up. And I highly recommend you apply. Even if you're not sure if you're eligible, you know, what's the worst that can happen? Somebody tells you say no, do it anyway, apply. And our peer mentors and myself, if you come in, we can help you find other resources. We're aware of emergency funds. We're aware of, if your student needs a laptop or they need a calculator or anything like that, we can definitely help them find those materials as needed. It's like what we like to call the easy button. Come in here, press the button, and we're going to be there. We're going to answer your emails always very quickly. I can't stand to have them in my inbox. So yeah, anytime.
That's awesome. They also for sure answer emails very quickly. I always tell Heather, I said, Jackie emails like she's texting. I'm like, I'll send her something 1 minute later. I have a reply. I'm like, it is good. Both Jackie and Nikki are great at that.
Yeah.
So you talked a little bit about talking to admitted students. We also have prospective families that might be here and that are watching this as well. So do all colleges have a first generation program, or is this program unique to the University of Memphis? And you've kind of already explained the second half, but why should they choose Memphis in first gen? You kind of explained all the services you just did, so you don't have to go back over those. I think that is the great reason to choose U of M in first gen. But if you can talk about, is this something that happens at every college, and what makes it unique?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna brag. I'm gonna definitely brag. I'm gonna take that one. And Nikki, you can add to me because I'll forget something. But so the University of Memphis was one of the original 6 universities that started a first generation scholarship program. And we are the only university now that still has a full cohort model of that. So we have 80 students that do first scholar. So I'm really proud of that. We're also one of the only universities that have this opportunity scholarship program, which is through Equal Chance for Education. So of course, it's expanding. More universities are doing first generation programs because there's a real need here. Like at the University of Memphis, we're over 35% first generation, so it's a large population. But again, we keep adding services, we keep branching out because we know that there's a real need at the University of Memphis, and I think other universities are definitely taking notice. We serve on a national level now as a host university, a mentor university for hundreds of others that are getting into the national network of first forward institutions. And we train all the other universities about equal chance for education. We created the manuals for how to do this and to do it successfully. So if you're looking for a campus that supports first generation, especially in the state of Tennessee, you're not going to do any better than right here. Facts. No.
Yeah. Mic drop for sure.
I don't have one. I got a stapler.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Jackie. And, being relatively new, having only been 1.5 years at the U of M and in this position, part of my research when applying was figuring out who has these kinds of programs. And, having been in higher ed for 6 years, it wasn't something I saw a lot. So I thought that was really unique to the University of Memphis. And I do agree with Jackie, and I see it through our program and working with NASPA that we, in First Gen Forward, that we do have more institutions being a part of this and working towards helping our first gen students. And that it's really exciting to see, because especially, just 5 years ago, how many institutions had this?
So I would say if you're listening and you're a prospective family or you're kind of on the fence, now come to the U of M. There's a lot of resources here for first generation families, and I'm so proud that our university is in such a leadership type of role in this field. Speaking of leadership, what kind of leadership training opportunities do you offer first generation students? And then another piece to that, going back to your peer mentoring program, I kind of consider peer mentors as leaders. So how, if a family is listening and they may have a first generation student who feels like they could serve as a peer mentor, how would they go about being a part of that? What's the selection process?
For sure. You want to start with the leadership opportunities through First Scholars, Nikki?
Sure. So like I said before, First Scholars is, built around a 4-year program, and part of that is making sure our students have those leadership opportunities. So within their first year, one of their requirements is to join a student organization on campus. And I frequently encourage them after that first year being a part of that organization, looking at possibly being on the board, or, being that president or vice president, or if you're not comfortable with that, try secretary and see how it goes from there. And then I also encourage my students in ACAD to be leaders within our group. So that's their freshman cohort within that ACAD class. And so I have them, each kind of figure out what their leadership style is, and then how can they use that not only in the classroom, but also outside of the classroom. And then we come back frequently and like, okay, so how did you be a leader this week? What did you do? How did you encourage someone else to be a leader if you're like me and do servant leadership? I I like to help others be leaders. I don't necessarily want to be the forefront. So how are you doing that? And just making sure that they have those opportunities. Some of that happens in the workshops too. They're allowed to learn a little bit more about leadership skills and how to develop them and utilize them both on and off campus too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I like to work with the students to develop leadership skills through service. So huge part of First Scholars, and Nikki kind of touched on it, was the Pay It Forward programming, community service. We do that throughout all of our programs, I would say, in the Office of First Gen Student Success. So I will work with my students, train them how to throw special events. My students host our annual Sapphire Awards, which is probably our biggest donor event as well, so they're getting to speak to the administrators. They're working with community partners to not just throw this event, but all of our First Gen week events, which last year we had over 300 attendees at every single one. So they did a pretty good job. But, a lot of the leadership also comes through the networking opportunities that they are, I want to say exposed to, but that's what it is. When you're with the Office of First Gen, First Scholars, Opportunity Scholars, you're going to be directed towards these networking opportunities that some students might never even hear about potentially. So I think that there's always opportunity available to these students. It's whether or not they're willing to make the most of it. And 9 times out of 10, I think they do. So we're pretty proud of them. And we do work a lot with New Memphis. I don't know if y'all are familiar with them. If you're not parents, I suggest you do a little research, look up New Memphis Institute. It's an excellent organization that helps students find their careers and stay in Memphis. So yeah, there's all sorts of different collaborations available. Also work with students a lot to train them to create their own organizations. When we were originally with First Scholars, our students decided they wanted to create their own honor society for First Gen students. So they created Alpha 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 at the University of Memphis, and now they're the executive board members for that. And I come from a long line of people that wanted to start organizations. So we want to make sure that they're thinking of that too, and what they want to make their legacy when they leave.
That's awesome. And it seems like students really get that chance to make an impact on campus, which of course impacts them all the way up to graduation and beyond.
Mm-hmm.
So Nikki, this is more for you, but what is the First Scholars Program, and then how can a student be considered for that?
Yeah, I feel like I've kind of given a summary of First Scholars throughout our conversation. But the short of the long of it, I would say, is First Scholars is a holistic program aiding first generation students in their 4 years of their academic career, and making sure that they're successful and able to complete, hopefully within the 4 years. Of course, there's a few exceptions here and there, but generally speaking, we're really good about getting them in, successfully keeping that GPA up. I think our recent numbers were, I want to say a 3.2 versus the average First Gen at U of M was a 2.5 or something around there. So just trying to make sure that they're staying on track, making the grades, getting those soft and hard skills to get through and be successful post-graduation as well. And then to be considered was the other part of the question. I was like, what was the second part? So to be considered for for scholars, like I said, it's going to be during that senior year of high school. They're the application opens in November, sometimes a little bit earlier. So just make sure you're checking our website with memphis.edu/first scholars, and it'll be on there. So you can apply through the website. Basically, you just have to have an average to high ACT score, a good GPA. The essay portion that's on there, they answer a question about, why would this scholarship make a difference for you? Why is it important to you? And then recently we added an interview process as well. So if they get asked to be a part of the scholarship, they'll go through an interview. And then once we finish the interviews, we'll pick our cohort of 20 to begin in the following fall semester.
Mhm. I'll add a little tip on that one, because when you get into these essays and they all kind of say, well, I need the money. One way to set yourself apart in those essays is to make sure that you're talking about, how you've given back to the community. That pay it forward mentality, it counts for a lot in those conversations. So, if you have a student right now that's in high school and they're looking to apply for not just this scholarship, but any scholarship, make sure that they're also thinking about that community service aspect and how those co-curricular experiences really enrich their resumes. Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much. Now, I know we've talked about the peer mentoring program a lot throughout our conversation, but just reminding the parents, how can their first gen student participate in peer mentoring? Is it just a part of the First Scholars program, or will they need to complete an application? What's that process for?
It's open to
Or-
everyone. Yeah, absolutely. Open to everyone. Go to memphis.edu/firstgen. You'll see a little button says, peer mentor, click it and we'll get you set up. Now, if you want to be a peer mentor, typically what I'm looking for are upperclassmen. I am looking more for those juniors and seniors, just because we want them to be able to talk about their experiences. I'm not looking for a perfect student. I don't want a 4.0 necessarily for a peer mentor, but I do want a student that's maybe had some downs, but they came right back up, so that's the type of experience I'm looking for, someone that can really connect to another first generation student. And, when we have those spots open up, and when we have about 5 to 7 mentors at a time, it will be posted. University of Memphis has a handshake portal through our career services. That's where all of our student employment pieces are. So you can find it in there as well. As all on-campus jobs, if any of y'all are looking, specifically for your student, they're listed in there under our career services website, which I'm sure Kayla has the link to. She can share that out.
Awesome. Thank you. And so final question, and this is maybe something we can also help answer, but ways that families can connect with other families or first generation students. So I'll kind of go ahead on our part. We're really trying to work with the Office of First Gen to create a connection group or an affinity group, whatever you would like to call it. And so we know there is a space and a need for families to get together and just help each other out in this community. And so we talk about the students when they get here, they need the resources, they need the community, and they need to know the people. But we also want you to know the people. We want you to know those resources so that you can help and support your student. And so you can email us at parents@memphis.edu. I believe it's also on our events page on our website. If you go to the U of M Parent and Family website on the Memphis website, if you would like to be involved. And so we're hoping to gather a couple family members and create a connection group where you all can chat, ask questions, talk about your students. Like Heather, she comes in and says, you can't believe what my daughter just did. So you can talk about that and try to find solutions with everyone. Did I kind of cover that, or do y'all want to add anything else?
Yeah, I need to be on that group too with my kids. So I'll be ready. I'll be joining.
Perfect.
They can always email firstgen@memphis.edu as well anytime. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I hope you are listening to this and know that both of our offices, we are here for you to help support your student. And so if you ever have any questions, feel free to, email us, email First Gen, and we'll make sure to get your questions answered. Before we leave, do y'all have anything else y'all would like to say? Y'all good? Let me ponder.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for
Perfect.
having us.
Perfect.
You're not alone. If you have a question, it's okay. Ask, feel free. firstgen@memphis.edu. I will answer anything, literally. So it's okay. I know parents, we have so many questions. Just ask. It's okay.
Awesome. Thank you. And then just to wrap up, we have a couple more Tiger Talks coming this semester. And so you can tune in on April 5th to learn about safety resources for your student. April 12th, we have a new Tiger Talk. So if you've been with us for a minute and have been watching these, this one is a new coming up about the Tiger Smart Start program. And so this is with the campus bookstore and is an easier way for your student to get books. And so we'll talk to the bookstore and talk about that program. And then our last one is managing stress during finals. We also have one more event during the semester. So we have family night at the Shite. And so whether you're a prospective family or a current family member, feel free to come and join us. So it starts at 5:30. We have a family mingle, and then it will end with a concert with Sound Fusion. And so Sound Fusion is great. I'm sure y'all heard me talk about them before, but feel free to register online on our website for our last event of the semester before orientation. Awesome. And again, you can watch this at 5 o'clock on YouTube and on Facebook. Thanks so much for attending, and let us know if you have any other questions. Thank you. See you.
Bye, y'all.